So hello and welcome to today's workshop, which is on success intolerance. My name is Katrina Horn and I'm a life coach, and I will be walking you through a lot of content today. If you feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the content, don't despair, because there will be a replay. So you don't have to frantically be taking notes. You can just listen in, and if you want to go over something again, you can of course watch a replay, and you're of course also free to take notes. And if you're here live, you can use the chat box to communicate with people here or with me. That you can actually ask questions anonymously. If you select me in the chat, you can select only me. So if you don't want everybody to know who's asking your question, don't worry, you can be here anonymously. But I'm thrilled that you are here, and some of you are on camera. That is so inspiring to me. Feel free to ask your questions at any time. I might not answer them till the end, and I will perhaps ask you a few questions as we go along. And you can answer them in the chat, or you can answer them anonymously or with your name. So I don't think in the replay that your name will appear. We can't see the chat in the replay, so you're good. Anyway, let's dive into all this delicious content. And let me just say that this workshop is for you if you want something that you so far have not been able to get, or to be a question I like to ask myself. And who hasn't? I mean, I'm sure, until we're in our graves, there's always something more for us, something we really want. And that is all delicious. You don't know why it's not happening for you. So you're trying to achieve something. You're trying to get to a goal, or what I like to call a dream, but it's just not happening. You feel that your success is elusive. You want to do things differently. You don't want to keep doing more of the same. So if you're like me, I plead guilty. If you're like me, we sometimes want to get over a lack of belief in ourselves or in our results through taking action. We think we can action our way to belief, which is a little bit the same as saying, when I've achieved it, I will believe it. And actually it works the other way around. We can start believing it now. So the action we take from belief will be completely different from the action we take when we're just taking action because we take action. We are actioning ourselves out of disbelief, right? Also, if you don't know why you're self-sabotaging, this is you. If you're not trusting yourself and your decisions, if you have a tendency to just give up on yourself, if you're putting your dreams off for later, and so many people I talk to, they say, yeah, but maybe this is not a good time. So this is just heartbreaking, because when was there ever a better time than now, when you are aware, when you if you're watching this, then you must be aware that there's something you want and that you're not achieving it. What could be a better time? Because in life, there will always be something coming up. So don't put your dreams off for later, is what I want to say. Also, what I've noticed is that we scale down our ambitions. And this took me a long time to get over, because I said, oh no, let's stay reasonable. So we sort of scale down our ambitions or our expectations, and then we start playing small. If you are being self-critical is not a good place to take action from. There's no point to it. We're going to look into how you can actually challenge your beliefs, your thoughts, and your feelings, also about yourself. And if you're experiencing feelings of frustration, anger, if those are some of your go-to emotions that you feel you're experiencing some of the time, and that some of the time is a bit too much of the time. Also, when you resort to blame, so blame could be blaming yourself, blaming your family, blaming your childhood, blaming your past, blaming your boss, blame, just in general, right? That is also being success intolerant. You want success to be fun and rewarding, I hope. You want to get results when you make an effort, right? There's nothing more frustrating than taking action or doing something that really demands that you step out of your comfort zone and you don't get the results. Like if we liken this to weight loss, if you've decided I want to lose weight and you feel you're doing the exercise, you are eating healthily, you are doing the things, and the results aren't there, that is so frustrating, yeah? So we want to get results when we make an effort. That's a priority. So we want to stop doing what's not getting us results. If you, you want to spend most of your time believing instead of hoping. And so many people, when I first meet them, they say, oh yeah, I hope I'll be able to create that. But hope is really not enough to create anything on, right? We want to move into belief. We really need to believe some of the time, right? If there are any dream designers out there, dream designers, of course, I've done in the past. And you know that, what do I want to say? Yeah, we need belief to take action. Hope is not enough. So we want to move you into belief. So you want to confidently move towards your dream, goal, whatever you want to call it, instead of being swayed by what people tell you. That was a funny way of spelling people, right? And you want to know deep inside that your dream is possible. So you've tried beating yourself up and that hasn't worked. So telling yourself you're so bad for not achieving that, or you should be, blah, blah, blah. So beating yourself up is not working. You've tried it, checked it out. It's not gotten you to where you want to be. Polling everyone around you. So what do you think? Is this reasonable? Should I do this? Do you believe I can get to my dream? Do you believe I can achieve these results? If you've tried getting your value from what other people think of you and your success in your dream, so it's again about getting that validation from the outside instead of sourcing it deeply from within. If you're taking a lot of scary action that got you nowhere, I've been there. I can talk about that. Taking such scary action that got me absolutely nowhere. If you're sitting there waiting for help to arrive, right? As I love to say, because I think it's such a fun vision, is when I say there is no rescue committee, right? You're in on life here and it's happening now. And you're the one who's going to make it happen. You're the one responsible here. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about responsibility later on. So let me not get too detailed here. If you've tried dreaming and thinking positive thoughts, right? You've tried all this and it's not working. So here's what will get you today. You will have tools to uncover thoughts and feelings that are tripping you up so that you can change them. And we can change our thoughts and feelings. It is possible. I'll show you exactly how. Also, a method for creating belief that inspire you into useful being or action. Because if you read any of the emails that went out to announce this workshop, I talk about being a lot. So you can actually be and think your way to success. It needn't be all action. You also get a roadmap to being onto yourself when you're self-sabotaging, so you recognize it. And once you recognize it, you can stop it. And I'll be giving you your first step to success. using these new tools and methods. So I hope you are as excited as I am. What will get in the way of your success is if after this workshop you say, I'll just put it off. It can wait till I accumulate more knowledge. Like people think knowledge is what will create your results, but it isn't. It's how you use the knowledge. It's once you start using, practicing the knowledge, once you take the knowledge out into the real world and see what happens, that is when you create results. So if you're waiting to research the how, find out exactly how, or if you're waiting to get the latest info, I'm afraid that it could take a long time, because what is going to actually make the click inside of you that has you out there thinking, okay, I know enough. I trust myself enough. There is a way, let me go there, right? That is what we need to inspire in you today. So putting it off is not an option. It will always get in the way of your success. And by that, I don't mean that you have to force yourself into action. We'll be talking about that. What will get in the way of your success is also taking that uninspired action that only proves to you that you can't do it. Uninspired action, let me illustrate that by weight loss. When you say, oh yes, I really should lose weight, so let me try for 2 weeks half-heartedly and prove to myself that it doesn't work, because it won't, will it? That sort of 90% of commitment won't get you the results that 100% commitment will get you. So if you're trying a lot, you're just proving to yourself that it doesn't work and that you can't do it. So sad. Don't do that. So if you spend more time doing than being, I'll talk about that later. And if you believe you're not worth the time, effort, and money it takes to create your success. What I want to talk about is how we can normalize success in our minds, in our bodies, so that we expect more success. That is how we create more of it, right? So having it be something completely normal, not having that conflict between our subconscious mind and our conscious mind. Our conscious mind has got a goal, has got a dream, and then our subconscious has got an opinion about that. We want to calm it down. We want to tell it, look, I can hear you. You've got some doubts on this, but let me just show you. Let me just teach you. Let me just let you know that it's all going to be okay. So the more we think success is just normal, I'm a successful person, the more success we'll be creating. I'm sure you've all got examples of that. You all know people who are just always successful, no matter what they do, no matter what they undertake, they're always successful. I want to quote heavily from Gay Hendricks' books, The Big Leap. If you haven't read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, do so now. If you've already read it, read it twice more, 2 more times, because it's really something that makes you think. I'm just going to pick how he describes the 4 false beliefs that trip us up. So that will give you some general information about what's at stake here, and we will be working on making it specific for you, because something that is too general will not allow you to take action, or shall I say effectful action, or what is the real word? Effectful, does that exist? I don't know. But if it's too general, like I am unworthy of success, it really won't help you solve for it, right? So we need to get more specific, and we'll be working on that. So let's dive into the 4 false beliefs. Are you ready? You can start identifying perhaps where you might want to go after this workshop, where there's some delicious content for you. And I will be giving you examples from my own life. So the first false belief is that you're feeling fundamentally flawed. A voice in your head is saying something along the lines of, since you are stupid, mean, unlovable, a mistake, you can't possibly feel this good, make this much, or do so well. So there's a fundamental flaw in you that prevents you, that trips you up. It's a core belief, right? You've got somewhere something saying something along the line that there's something wrong with you, not you did something wrong. There's something inside of you, like a flaw. So I don't know whether that rings any bells. I had a really good example from my own life. And I think, yeah, one example I can give from my own life is that I used to feel that, how can I say, I can give I'll save another example for later, but I used to believe that I was so repellent, that I was just not even lovable, but likable as I was. So that was just something that would always be there. And that led me into a lot of people pleasing, because it meant, well, as there's something deeply and fundamentally wrong inside of me, I will have to put on a show to be accepted, to be liked, and to be even loved. The way I am right now is not good enough. So I'll have to be more charming, be more intelligent, be more entertaining, be whatever, more something, right? So there was something fundamentally flawed with me. If something comes up, why don't you pop it in the chat if anything rings a bell with you? So it doesn't need to be stupid, mean, unlovable, or that you are a mistake. It can be something much more innocent. I'm not like other people. I'm more intelligent. Feeling that there's something wrong with you because you are more intelligent than other people can be just as detrimental to your success as anything else. So I don't think we actually define success intolerance. I think I just skipped over that. But success intolerance is when you have set a limit to how much success you will allow yourself to enjoy before you start the self-sabotage, before you stop yourself from fully achieving it, from fully enjoying it, right? So sorry about that. I should have said that a bit earlier. But anyway, the second false belief is disloyalty and abandonment. So the voice goes, I can't be successful as I'd be alone, abandoning the people of my past, my family, whatever it is to you, society. You're somehow being disloyal, right? You're letting them down, or creating a disconnect between you and the people or the rules in your life up till now. And that has so often been my case, and it has led me to move to different countries, right? With the feeling that there was something wrong about it, because I was discrediting what went before. I was setting myself up better than other people, and then I had to prove it, which is of course silly. So yeah, I thought that I was setting myself too far apart, really, and that I was lose connection with the people from my family. And this happened perhaps to you too. You can ask yourself, did you break your family's spoken or unspoken rules? Did you fail to meet your parents' expectations? And I certainly did, because all my family are medical. They studied a lot. I studied a lot, but everything I studied didn't really get me a lot of success. So yeah, I've completely changed my whole family's outlook on life, because my entire family, aunts and uncles and everything, came from families that weren't wealthy. They weren't successful. They were farm laborers, school teachers, railway workers, and their aim in life was to better their situation, was to climb the social ladder. And I have somehow gone down the social ladder, from the lawyers, from the doctors, from all these high-flying people, first being a musician, then a school teacher, and now a life coach. It's just not in that same line of people, if you see what I mean. They build their worth on studies, on having studied a lot, and academia and all that sort of thing. And that's just not my style. I'm not very intellectual, right? I might be okay intelligent, but I don't find that I enjoy being really intellectual. But that was a side note. So false belief number 2, disloyalty and abandonment. If you're successful, you will be alone. False belief number 3, believing that more success brings a bigger burden. And your belief goes something like, I can't be more successful because I'd be an even bigger burden than I am now. And the way that can come up for you, because it's come up for me, is that if I get used to my life in luxury, if I can maintain myself in luxury, it will be so difficult for people to get on with me. People from my past, people who have stayed, I wouldn't say poor, but still with that scarcity mentality, it will be so difficult for them to relate to me, and they will feel that I'm stuck up. Right? So people feel this way often because a relative made them understand that they were a burden as a child. So I think this is heavily connected to needs. So their needs were difficult to meet, and whenever they voiced a need, it would be really taken as something burdensome. So maybe you're resonating with that. For me in particular, the way I see it now is that I've got a tendency to downplay the luxury I enjoy, just not to put people off, really. Because like just yesterday, we were having people around for dinner, and I like to make a really pretty table. And I do so now, but I've always got the thought that, oh, maybe people will think that to invite me over to their house, they will have to do the same, which is, of course, not at all the case. But, you know, I still have my thoughts go there. So I'm still a work in progress. False belief number 4 is there's a crime of outshining. And the belief goes, I cannot be too good, too intelligent, too gifted, as I would outshine others if I did. And I think this happens to everybody who was really good at school or good in school. If you remember, if this is you, and I think it might be you, if you're into personal development. So without saying that I'm better than other people, I was a very bright child, so I learnt very, very fast. And that made me a little bit uneasy, because as I got older, I started to see that it set me apart. And it created like distance between me and the children I've been playing with, because I was a smart one. So I felt I had to downplay that. And I'm sure many of you, just say yes in the chat if this is you. How many times have you actually tried to hide your knowledge, or at school tried not to answer the teacher because you thought, oh, it's always me who's got the right answer? So sort of downplaying who you were. Yes, I've got a lot of yeses. Yes, we do, don't we? And just have a look at, or we could do later, where that's playing out in your life right now. And I still find it's playing out in my life. Like I find it really difficult when I'm better at something than other people, because I'm afraid that they think that I'm better than them because I'm better at something, which is, of course, not at all the case. Yeah, so we've got most people here saying yes, 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 yes. So being better at school, and if you've got that memory of you sort of trying to hide and making yourself look a little bit more stupid, then that will feel a lot safer. And as we're going to go into in the workbook, feeling safe. I mean, you can be successful and feel safe. And that is one of the things we have to change in our minds. So people who fall victim of false belief number 4 often were better than their siblings and their parents, made them understand they should not shine too much. And I love my sister, but I was 3 years younger than her. But as I was always with her in the same classes, in doing the same things, it was very difficult for me to, I had that idea, and actually it just struck me today that I was trying to protect her because I felt she needed protection, because although she was 3 years older than me, I was the leader, right? I was the person who was doing the stuff that needed doing, and connecting with other children so we could play with them, and all that sort of thing. And I think I sort of put it down. I started hiding so that I wouldn't outshine her, especially in music, where it was so easy for me, and for her it was so difficult. So of course this is all misguided. Like, she has got all her own talents, so there's no question of her being better or worse than me. There's no question of me being better or worse than her. It's just that we're different. Yeah. And any situation that has us feel as if we have to be less of who we really are is really not a situation that will lead you to success, right? So when you do that kind of thing, just know that you're being success intolerant, because you feel it's necessary to downplay some part of you to be either accepted or whatever it is for you. Right. So let's do the tremendous work of going about changing our thoughts. So if you remember at the beginning, I was saying that there is a way of creating belief before you take action, so that the action you take from belief will create the result you're actually desiring. And I'll go into that later. But the first thing we have to do is to catch our thoughts. So we can be too general. All the examples we've just gone through, the four beliefs, are too general for us to get to work on. They're just like the first place to start looking. And I think I also forgot to tell you that we can have 1 or 4 of these false beliefs running in our system, right? We can have all 4 of them influence our thinking. So working on an idea like I'm unworthy is far too general for us to be efficient changing it. So we have to become more specific. So let's take an example. If you've got the dream, goal, or idea of success, that you want a wildly successful business that's going to make you tons of money, you have the thought that I can't have a successful business because when I've got money, I spend it recklessly. I used to have the thought I'm irresponsible with money. So I had to clear that up before I could have a wildly successful business, right? So you can't accumulate money or have a lot of it or spend a lot of it if you've got running at the back of your mind, I'm reckless with money. How does that make you feel, that thought? I can't have a successful business because I'm just reckless with money. I'm irresponsible with money. It could make you feel despondent. So what you do from that place, just imagine you lean back and say, oh, I would so love to have a mega successful business where I could decide the hours I would work and I could decide on everything in the business. I would be the boss. But yeah, I'm just no good with money, right? You could be sitting there dreaming. And I'm listing dreaming as an action because an absence of action is also action, if you see what I mean. Not doing something is still making a choice of not doing something, right? So you can classify it as an action. And the result is probably that you're not having a successful business. So how do we go about changing that? We change our thoughts. So the subject stays the same. You've still got the same dream, having a wildly successful business. it's the same in both my examples, where before you said or thought, I can't have a successful business because when I've got money, I spend it recklessly. You can start practicing thinking, I'm ready to learn about managing my money so that I can take proper care of it. It's a better feeling thought, right? You can start feeling curious. You won't feel elated, perhaps. And when we change our thoughts, we can't go from black to white. We have to stop in between, and then we have to keep practicing. And what I like calling collecting evidence for it. So if instead of thinking I'm reckless with money, you start thinking, I'm ready and willing to learn about money, to study money. People have done that before me. Maybe you're not just born with an ability to manage money. Maybe there's something in it for me here that I can learn, right? So you start feeling better because maybe it's a skill set. Maybe it's not just something that is downloaded to you at birth. You're opening up here. You're starting to feel curious. And we can take a lot of good feeling action from the place of curiosity. So your action, instead of sitting there dreaming, would be to go and learn money management. With the caveat, as I'm going to say later, or as I already said, I think, knowledge won't create you the results. It's when you start practicing it, right? So not just learning about money, but start practicing it will actually create a new relationship for you with money. So from that new relationship, you can take action towards creating your business, which will be perhaps possibly wildly successful money-wise, if you have the belief that actually now I've got the skill set that will allow me to manage my money so I won't be reckless with it. So I'd love to hear from you if you're here live, if you'd like to go over some other examples and what, if you've got any, what shall I call it, any thoughts, any dreams, anything that you want to achieve, and if you've got an inkling of what is standing in the way of that. Let me know.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's Janice.
Yes.
And hi. I've written a lot of stuff. So a lot of poetry and prose and even a fiction book, etc. And I've only published professionally, which is more on legal topics, since I used to practice law and speak on it. So, and I also do photography. Now, I've limited myself in getting a good camera, but I really have a good eye and I'm passionate about it. And also I'm not allowing myself to publish. It's like I've got some boxes of stuff and it's like, if not now, when? So, and there's always things to do, right? There's always other things to do, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm listening to all of the different things you said. What are all the things that are standing in my way? What is that underlying thing? And I think it likely stems from childhood.
It always does, right?
Yeah, it all does. And I'm not sure when. I knew at one point when I was like a little girl or something, the art teacher would love my art and then just keep it. And I'd wonder where it was. And I went, I think, did I make some kind of a promise to myself I wasn't going to share because I'm afraid of that? I had a boyfriend and then he would copy down my sayings. He was going to sell them. Luckily, I mean, he lost them, but it's kind of crazy. So the thing is, it's like my work is meant to be shared. I think it's part of my life purpose. So now, how can I get all of myself on board? You know what I mean? Mini me, little me, all of that.
By changing your thought. So if you identify a thought, my artwork is not meant to be shown. My artwork is meant to be hidden away where I can't find it. Is that what would define your thought?
No, I think it's more, this, it's coming to me as we're talking. And I think it's just this, I'm allowed to express my authentic self. You see, like I became a lawyer, I think, because I was pleasing my dad.
But I'm sorry, Janice, to interrupt, but that is too general a thought.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you need something much more specific. Why are you not allowed to express yourself? What is the thought behind that? What will happen if you express yourself?
It's coming from childhood. I may not be accepted, or maybe I'll be punished. That's what
Yeah.
just came to
So,
mind.
yeah, again, too general. How will you be punished? What will happen very specifically?
Well, actually, it's interesting. I see like a little girl and she's like sent in the corner to be all by herself. So I guess I would say that just that being isolated.
Yeah, but if you notice how this just again feeds into a general belief, if you think back to the 4 beliefs, false beliefs we had.
Mm.
So that is abandonment, being alone, right? What exactly will happen when you're standing in that corner as a little girl, which won't
Yeah,
happen today, right?
right, of course not.
Because you're an adult woman, but what is the thought here? What is the thought?
I think, let me think for a minute.
Yeah, but Janice, if I can just ask you to think about this and I'll come back to you so that we
Sure,
can
go
move
ahead.
along, if you don't
Of
mind.
course. No,
Yeah,
please, go
so
ahead.
I'd love to hear what you came up with, but the more specific it is, the more actionable it is, right? The
Can you
the easier it is to change it.
okay, for everybody else also, can you give me an example of what would be specific? Because I think I'm having trouble of getting the specific,
Yeah,
because I don't really know how
that's,
specific.
yeah. So a very good question, because that is really why we need sometimes a life coach, because we don't know the thought. Like I had the thought, I'm irresponsible with money. And I could find so many examples from my life when I had been perhaps misjudging, misguided. I could find times when I had squandered money. I could find all that proof. But when I uncovered with my coach that I was feeling irresponsible with money, I could also go back through my life and find all the examples of how I'd actually been extremely clever with money, if you see what I mean. So there was more evidence of me being clever with money than being reckless or irresponsible with money. So the thought was, and I can take that back to a childhood memory, but the thought is, or was, I'm irresponsible with money. And I could take that back to going to the shops with my dad, seeing this horse, this gorgeous horse. I was 4 years old, or 5, I don't know, very young. I loved it. And I'd had money for my birthday. And my dad said, well, you could buy yourself a present in the shop. Wow. So I had this money and I wanted this horse. And I think it was either 100 kroner, which was Danish money at the time and still is. And I didn't know what that was, right? It was just like paper to me. And he said, well, if you get that horse, you won't have any money left. And I didn't know what that meant either, but I could hear that. That was something frightful. Yeah, do you see what I mean? That little girl, her dad told her, yeah, you want that horse, but if you buy it, you won't have any money left.
And
And
I'm
without
curious.
understanding it, it
Right,
felt
I'm very
so
curious.
frightening to
Well, he
me,
did buy it.
right?
Did you buy
That
it or
this
not?
informed an attitude I had to money that, oh, right, I'm willing to spend everything on something as frivolous as a horse that I really want, and that is irresponsible, and there's something terribly wrong here. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's very, I just have to ask you, because I'm so curious, did you as a little girl get your horse?
Yes, I did, and I loved it.
There you go. And I say good for you. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I know what your belief came, and and I'm sure that your father did not want you to hold that belief for
Of course not, but it was his own belief, right? He was reckless with money. He didn't have a clue about money, and he was just projecting that onto me, right? So that's just how it all happens. We're all how shall I say, we're all shaped like by our environment, by our parents, by our schools, by all of it, right? That's just how it is. And now as we're adults, we can work on changing it. But Janice, I'll get back to you later.
Sure, no
Because
problem.
you've still got a lot of content that I wanted to share with you. So
Well, thank you for the
I'm
time.
just going to move on and keep thinking about it, and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
So, also, something to notice if you're not achieving the success you want. So it's just going out, looking outside, because I've got all these big trees that are, the wind is blowing so wildly. But anyway, so you can create awareness, and that awareness tool is what will help you transform. So notice where you worry, where you blame, and where you criticize. Those are all proven methods for stopping the flow of positivity, right? So when you have a tendency to go into worry, like, oh, if I make a lot of money, I don't know where to place it, or oh, I don't think I could start my own business because, or if you say, oh, it's my dad's fault for planting that belief in me, right? Or if you start blaming yourself for all the times in your life where you've been reckless with money, when you start criticizing yourself or others for the way they handle money, if you see what I mean, these are all ways of getting you out of your belief that will get you to success. Also, when you start arguing, like if you're in a relationship and it's all going so well, you're really happy, you might start an argument, and that is really success intolerance. Think about it. I just love this image that if you're in a relationship and you argue, it's because you both want the position of a victim. Whereas the truth is that neither of you is a victim, because you're both responsible. Right? We are all responsible all the time of everything we say, of everything we do. Now, that doesn't mean we have to upbraid ourselves, but if we do take responsibility, then we can act on it. So if you want to stop arguing, you take 100% responsibility for the argument, even though you say, oh, he said that first to me, or whatever it is. Yeah. So when you take responsibility, you have got all the levers to change, right? And this is one of the ways you can see, okay, what are my thoughts around this? If you go into blame, it's his fault. If you start criticizing yourself, I shouldn't have said that, I know it triggers him. Or when you start worrying about, oh, will we always argue? Or what does this mean? Let me just overthink this for 10 days. And do you know what I mean? These are all indicators that you are just success intolerant, right? You could be having a good time. You could be not starting arguments. And if an argument happens, well, what are you making it mean? That is all up to you. That is your part of the responsibility, right? What are you making it mean? That what you make it mean is always on you, right? It's not on the other person. It's completely on you. And if you make it mean something where you have got agency, well, then you are empowered. And if you make it mean something where you have got zero agency, meaning where you cannot do anything and where you are not responsible, well, then it stays that way and you stay the victim. So taking responsibility is really one of the keys to anything in life, I think. And the reason we don't want to take responsibility, I feel, is that we don't trust ourselves. I don't know whether I made a slide with this, but if not, I'll just get back to it. But other clues are when you deflect, success intolerance, when you deflect compliments, for instance. Somebody says, oh, that hairstyle looks so good on you. And you say, oh, well, it's just something I did last Sunday. I started cutting my own hair or whatever. Maybe I should take another example. Like if people compliment you on what you wear, I used to say, oh, this old thing it was so cheap, or this old thing, I had it for years. Like, when people pay a compliment, the appropriate response is, thank you. Thank you for telling me. Also, when you get ill, and I sent out an email recounting that story from when I was little and I used to do ballet, and I loved it. And I was chosen to be like the star of the show at the end of the year, twice, 2 years running. And every time I got ill because I don't know why, but I think it could be I didn't want to outshine my sister. I didn't want my parents' attention so much on me because I knew my sister needed it. She actually told me once, I think they love you more than they love me. And I had to make up for that a lot of the time, if you see what I mean. When you get hurt. So when you like, if you want to run a marathon, you see your success as in running a marathon, you hurt yourself, so you can't run the marathon. When you hide your feelings, instead of telling people how you really feel, without accusing them of making you feel like that, but just informing them, this is how I'm feeling now. When you don't do that, and you just say, oh, no, it's fine. Or, you know, whatever. I don't know whether that's very British, but, you know, just saying, no, I'm perfectly okay. So that sort of thing, you know, when you're hiding your true feelings, when you're not keeping agreements, when you're going back on your promise, like an agreement is a promise and you're not keeping it, you're somehow betraying yourself. And when you're not speaking the truth, right? Think about it. We're going to go into that more heavily in the journaling questions. So let's just go there into the journaling. And what was I going to say about responsibility? I was going to say that if you take responsibility for everything you say and do and have and are in life, well, you take the success, you take responsibility for the success, and you also take responsibility for the failures, but you don't make them mean anything about you, right? So it's not about creating bad feelings, taking responsibility. Taking responsibility is just empowerment. And it doesn't mean that just try to control what you cannot control. You're just taking responsibility for your part. So in my example of an argument, you're not taking responsibility for what the person you're arguing with is saying. You're just taking responsibility for your part. And if you see that, oh, maybe I was wrong to do that, maybe I made a mistake, well, then just have it be a mistake, right? It doesn't mean that you are a mistake. It's just you just made a mistake. That's all. So going into the journaling questions, I sent out a workbook. And if you haven't got it, it really doesn't matter because I will be sharing it here. You can go back to it. It's in the email that I sent out for this workshop. Or the link to the workbook is in the email I sent out, to be more precise. So I should be sharing now. And let me just move some of this and start presenting. So I try to make it look good, the workbook, but I don't want to put in too many photos because if you print it out, it takes up a lot of ink. So this is what it looks like. And here are my journaling prompts. So we're looking to get into your authenticity. And what does that really mean? It means being authentic to me means that you are in complete integrity with who you are and with how you feel, what you think, right? You're not trying to hide any of it or modify it to please others. So ask yourself, where do I feel out of integrity with myself? Not from that judgmental place, but from a place of curiosity. And I don't say, are you feeling out of integrity? I'm saying aware, because the more specific we get, the more action we can take on it, right? The more we can transform that into gold for creating the success we want. So where are you out of integrity? What is keeping you from feeling complete and whole? What is keeping you from that? Are you telling yourself, oh, if only I lost 10 pounds, I would feel so delightful. I would feel so good about myself, right? What is it that is preventing you from feeling whole and complete right now today? What is that? Also, what important feelings am I not letting into my awareness? So we did a whole workshop on processing emotions last month. And of course, you can go back to that. But really, the more accustomed you become to identifying your feelings and then feeling them deeply, the more you can use them to fuel your desires, the more you can use them to create change and well, to go in the direction you want to go in. So I also found this quote, and I love the idea of it, which is always take your worth from inside of you, not from your childhood, right? Not from your childhood, not from your past, not from the home that you live in, not from your parents, your church, your neighborhood, or your school, not from your job, your friends, your degree, or your hobbies. From inside of you, always from inside of you. Meaning that if we are always looking for that external validation, we will always be met with success in tolerance. So I'm just pausing here a little bit to make it dramatic. Yeah, but just think of it. We have to fuel our self-worth from the inside. So we just have to decide right now that we are totally worthy the way we are. So what you think of yourself is more important than what other people think of you, because what you think of yourself, your integrity, is what will inform all your actions, because the beliefs are what will have you take action, and to get efficient action or effectful action or get the results you desire with your action, it needs to be in complete integrity with your core beliefs. So where in my life am I not telling the full truth? The little lies that can sort of creep in. We can take weight loss again. Well, no, I only eat vegetables and I only have carbs in the evening. No, I'm very good with that. And then you're choosing to forget that actually on Saturday you went to a wedding and had 3 slices of wedding cake and champagne and all the rest, right? So we have this selective memory, but is there anywhere where you've got a tendency not to be completely truthful with yourself or with others? Like, oh no, I didn't spend that much on this dress, to your husband, right? It only cost blah, 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 right? These little lies really, they have you step out of your truth that, well, okay, so I spent this money on myself because I'm so worth it. Or I had all this wedding cake, and it's true today, I haven't lost weight, but watch me, right? It's accepting ourselves as we are, with our little foibles, with our idiosyncrasies. Oh, no, that's perhaps a French word. I won't go there, but with our little contradictions, with all the little faults about us. It's sort of accepting the whole thing, not just what we love about ourselves. Also, ask yourself, where in my life have I not kept my promises to yourself? Think about that. And in my relationship with blah, 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 what do I need to say or do to feel complete and whole? So I hope this will help you create awareness And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how awareness is really the game changer when you want to become success tolerant. I think we've got a question. Okay, not to worry, not to worry. I want to share my screen again, so let me do that. It's right here. And we were in the journaling, so let me move along. Why does it work, really, to become more aware of what you're thinking, what you believe, what you feel? It's if we create success based on our uninvestigated thoughts, we don't create success, we create failure. So creating my business with a belief that I'm reckless, I'm irresponsible with money, I haven't taken good care of my money, I've wasted money, all of those thoughts, if I keep them running in my system, chances are that my business won't be that successful money-wise, if you see what I mean. So we can't create success on this foundation, on a false foundation, on a foundation of these false beliefs. So becoming aware of the thoughts that are blocking you is what's going to create the change, what is going to make you success tolerant. So why it all work this time? You can actually take the same actions that you've taken in the past, and to illustrate it, I took the dating example. Imagine you look at a guy, you say, oh, he's far too gorgeous for me, but let me push myself, let me action my way out of a lack of belief, let me force myself to ask him out. So your attitude is defensive, or you can say energy. Whatever, what's propelling you is what he's going to pick up on. And nobody wants to go out with that sort of defensive kind of girl, if you see what I mean. So that the result of that would very likely be that he would say, no, I'm very busy. Thank you. Sorry. Right. So that idea of forcing yourself to do something with a lack of belief in the results you desire is not going to create the results you desire. The other example from dating is, I fancy this guy. I wonder if he fancies me. So you can feel the curiosity here. Let me ask him out to find out. So it's openness. It's, oh, what if he's interested in me too? So I go and ask him out with that in mind. Oh, possibly we could be going out tomorrow night, right? Your energy and your attitude is going to be completely different, and the results will be heavily influenced by it. Of course, he can still say no, right? But then what do you make it mean? If he says no, you make it mean he's already got a girlfriend, or he's got other plans, or even he doesn't fancy me, which doesn't mean that other guys won't fancy me. That is perfectly fine. It leaves you unhurt. But if you start thinking, he said no, he doesn't want to go out with me, it's because I'm undesirable, well, then it has got these catastrophic consequences that will keep you in place, right? That would have you meet with the success you desire. So the skills to develop here to create success tolerance, right, to expect more of it, to normalize it, is a willingness to create self-awareness. So spending time on what you think, not to try to action your way into belief. You practice new thoughts, and it takes practice. You can't do that just in one session, right? You can't just sit down, journal the worksheet out and have new thoughts, right? It needs coming back to, it needs work on. Practice your new beliefs, same thing. You keep practicing. And you always create beliefs that are believable. And then you go one up. So in my dating example, a belief is, this gorgeous guy might want to go out with me, right? That could be a thought you might be able to believe. If you can't believe that thought, you can say, it's not because he's gorgeous that he's different from other guys, and he might want to go out with me. So you work on that and you practice. Also, you develop self-confidence. You can only get self-confidence by thinking the beliefs and taking actions from them and creating results that you want. That is how you flex your self-confidence muscles. You have to be willing to let go of the past to justify the future. Oh, I've tried losing weight in the past. It's not worked. I've tried asking out gorgeous guys. It's not worked. I've tried making lots of money. It's not worked. So all of that you have to be willing to let go of. You have to be willing to get curious and become resilient. So being curious means that you're willing to take risk. And you can take risk without being certain. You have to be willing to get it wrong and not make it mean anything about you, right? Are you with me so far? Also, let's recap. First of all, you identify your false beliefs. If you remember the 4 false beliefs that Gay Hendricks set out in his book, The Big Leap. Then you change your thoughts or beliefs. You build your belief, I like to call it. You notice, you start becoming aware of when you engage in success intolerance, which was everything we talked about in deflection and creating arguments, in hiding, in playing small, all of those false beliefs too. Any of that behavior is a signal to you that you are engaging in this success intolerance. You must stop it immediately and reflect on it. When you stop being the victim and when you take responsibility for what you are responsible for. So you take your responsibility back, and that is a good thing because you don't need to make yourself wrong for anything. You don't have to judge yourself. You can just be curious, right? You can ask yourself, oh, why did I do that? Oh, let me think. And you nurture your authenticity. You say, okay, so I might be extremely brilliant and the people who love me love my brilliance. So I'm free to be brilliant all the time. I'm free to be more intelligent than the average. I can be more creative. I can be more gifted. All of that. I'm free to be all of that. So that is what you've learned today. And if you identify with any of these, you want a life that feels both comfortable as well as stimulating. But at the moment, you feel more like a barely charged iPhone. If you want an intimate relationship that feels like home, but right now, all you do is watch television together, when you could be talking about what lights you up. If you're in a couple situation and the fun of the conversation has gone out, do you know what I mean? It's time to revise if you want friendships where you can share what's important and meaningful to you instead of feeling obliged to just respond superficially to text messages, or if you want to feel close to your children and enjoy their company instead of just giving out orders or giving them their opinion if they're adults and just expecting them to conform. If you want a really deeper feeling, I would love to help you. Stop the judgment, first of all. It's hard, but you can change. And I know you're doing everything in your power, but if it's not working, you can have help. And I can help you to become the person who participates fully and authentically in her life instead of settling for second best. You can become the person who's got deep and meaningful relationships. Just think about, I'm talking about being here. You can develop the skill set to have difficult conversations where you don't fear that they will ruin your relationships, but they will nurture them, build on them, make them more profound. And you can become the person who feels absolutely fabulous, setting boundaries around what she's willing to do, clocking off work at 5 p.m. You can become the person who takes time to do 1 hour of delicious yoga, even when it's inconvenient, even when there's all that urgent stuff happening. Or you can become the person who knows how valuable it is to take time for herself without feeling guilt. I can help you with all of that if you've got an idea of what you want. Here's a fun thing. You have an idea that whatever it is for you, for me, it's living in a chateau would dramatically improve the quality of my life. Fill in the space with a dream of yours. Let's all dream. Your life coach will help you reveal your unconscious stumbling blocks that prevent you from living in a chateau, right? So a life coach, or I, can help you discover those thoughts that you find it difficult to identify, that you hide under an umbrella like I'm unworthy or I'm a mistake, right? We can't work with those. We need to tease out the more specific thought behind it. Also, life coaching can help you create that belief that you can indeed live in a chateau, that it's possible for you, not just for other people, but for you. Once you believe in your dream, once you believe that you can, whatever it is you want, once I believe I can live in a chateau, I can create a plan to achieve it. I can create a roadmap to get to that dream. Not self-sabotaging, right? Because I'm ferreting out all those thoughts that prevent me. And the action I'm taking is not exhausting me because it's only inspired action. It's the action that is built on belief, right? Then your life coach, my life coach, or I can do that for you, helps you implement the roadmap and get you back on track when you stray or lose faith, which you will, right? So I want to live in a chateau, and once I had the idea, I gave myself 5 years to accomplish it, and I've got more than 3 years left, right? So sometimes I believe more than others. Sometimes I get really encouraged, and sometimes I get really despondent, right? But my life coach takes me back to my belief, and that is precious. So you live in your dream house, for me, that chateau, and I start enjoying it immensely, and I start feeling extremely empowered and proud because I achieved that, right? I created this, meaning if I can create this, I can create other stuff, right? It's confidence building. I'm now equipped to create any other thing or experience in my life. That is how life coaching works, and it is so precious, right? So getting back to here and now, I'll stop the recording, and I'm thanking you for having been here live, and I'm thanking you for having watched the replay till the end. Can I just say that if you want my help in creating any of this success for you, in stopping the self-sabotage, please go ahead and book a consultation. And if you're here live, you can go ahead and book it right away. If you're watching the replay, please have a look at the email with the link to this replay. There will also be a button that says book a consultation. And you can go ahead and do so now so that we can dig into those thoughts that are really preventing you from creating exactly what it is you want. It's about empowering yourself by starting to believe. That's the first thing I do with my clients. I walk them into belief that this is indeed possible, because once we believe it, our minds open up to what is possible, right? So we start by enjoying the fact that it's possible, and we start believing more and more. And from there, we take action. And the first action we take is not about doing. The first action we take is about the person who is living that dream of hers, right? Who is she? That is where we start. Have you got any questions? Can you find a time here on the scheduler? Maybe I can just share my screen with you in case you have got any difficulties. If you can't find a time that suits you, maybe you could just write me an email and tell me that there are no times for you, and perhaps we can find one. So this is what will happen when you click on the book a consultation link, or you click right here, right now, you're put onto my online scheduler, and we will meet up for a whole hour. And it's so good if you really have got that hour ahead of you, so we can dive in a little bit deep. And we will, of course, look at your limiting thoughts, your self-sabotage, and where you do believe, right? And I will actually tell you what it is that you could be doing differently that will create those different results. So together we'll be creating your method, if I can call it like that, to your success. So once you're here, you just click anywhere, really. Maybe you're thinking Thursday will suit me. I've opened up a lot of times. So you just go ahead and find a time that suits you by clicking anywhere. Okay, and then you'll be asked to fill in your name and your email. Right? So if you've got any questions on that, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, I'm just going to give you some coaching, and I shall stop the recording so that you feel freer to express yourself and perhaps come on camera so that we can see you. So if you're watching the replay, thank you so much. I'd love to talk to you. Please go ahead and schedule a consultation with me where we will dive deep. This will be the first step to your transformation, like taking a positive first step from belief that this is your first step to creating those results you so desire, and of course you so deserve. Looking forward to meeting you. Bye for now. And for everybody who's here live,